The following podcast is a Dear Media production.
Today's show is brought to you in part by the NewCo. What if there was a product that made your skin so smooth and clear that it looks like you're wearing a real-life Instagram filter? Surprise, it's not an app. It's not a primer, a highlighter, or even a moisturizer. We're talking about Skin Filter, the NewCo's daily supplement. It's been awarded Best Supplement for Glowing Skin by Birdie.com. I just started taking mine today. By the way, the packaging is so lit. And I think what's cool is that the NewCo takes a holistic approach to skincare with a focus on improving the long-term health of your skin. No such thing as a quick fix, guys, unless you've got a ring light and some face tape. Skin Filter is one of the NewCo's best sellers. And the whole thing about the formula is it's designed to help brighten, tighten, and reduce breakouts and hyperpigmentation from within. It's really a 360 approach. So you might recognize some of the ingredients in its patented blend. They are actually similar to what you might find in a lot of the skincare we talk about, like vitamin C and zinc alongside vitamin A delivered as beta carotene. And it's clinically proven to show results in 30 to 60 days. Can't wait. You can try all the products available from NewCo, including their products for gut health, stress, and sleep, with 20% off using code BEAUTY. We'll link to that offer on our blog and in our show notes. Visit thenewco.com for 20% off using code BEAUTY. Welcome to Breaking Beauty, the podcast all about the breakthrough people, products, and moments in beauty. We're your hosts, Jill Dunn and Carlene Higgins.
Hey, Breaking Beauty fam. It's Jill jumping in to say hi before we dive into today's episode, which is a replay of one of our most popular ever. And today's guests are Laura Nelson and John Nelson, the co-founding siblings of Seed Beauty, aka the brains behind ColourPop and the launchpad for mega brands like KKW Beauty and Kylie Cosmetics. So we dropped this interview in January 2020, and a lot has changed since then, especially with Seed Beauty stakes in brands like Kylie Beauty and KKW Beauty. I know that the majority of both of those companies are now in Coty's hands, but the one thing that's constant with Seed Beauty and ColourPop, they continue to innovate and crush it with that high quality makeup that's just so affordable. And their collab sellout stat to this day. Just last month, they launched this whole collection to celebrate Malibu Barbie's 50th birthday. And I mean, it made me want to run out and get like a pink convertible. It was so fun. Plus, they're one of the most followed beauty brands on TikTok with nearly 1 million followers. So they have a lot more followers than like MAC, let's say, and even Sephora. So toss in your AirPods and get acquainted with two of the most trailblazing people in beauty today. By the way, this was such a fun throwback episode to listen to again because Carlene and I can't wait to travel and go on site to do interviews again. We just had so many great memories of being behind the scenes to see where all of the ColourPop magic happens at their headquarters in California. So you'll hear all about that too. Without further ado, enjoy. Welcome back to Breaking Beauty Podcast, everyone.
Hello, Jill Dunn.
Hey, Carlene.
Hey, rocking into the new decade.
Yeah, 2020.
Woo, I can't believe we're halfway through the month already.
Mm-hmm.
Things fly.
And episode
100. We have a milestone already. How do we do that?
It's all a bit of a blur, but also seems like we just started.
It's so true. Mm-hmm. It's so true.
And I don't know how many of our listeners follow us on Instagram. If you aren't already, please head on over to give us a follow at Breaking Beauty Podcast. And you're going to want to stay tuned on there because we're going to be doing a couple of very exciting contests and giveaways celebrating our 100th episode.
We're kind of hearkening back to our roots today because, of course, when we did start, which was almost 3 years ago, we launched with founder episodes. You know, we were all about getting the backstory behind the best-selling beauty products. We launched as a monthly. We've kind of evolved. Now we're a weekly. We talk about the breakthrough products, people, and moments in beauty. But we do have an epic founder episode today. And I love these. We go so deep on like the whole brand story. I think it's my favorite still.
So today we are speaking to the founders of Seed Beauty, and that is Laura and John Nelson. They're a sibling duo. They're not married, and they are the genius creators behind ColourPop, 903a Beauty, Soul, which is a body line, a few other lines that you may have heard of, Kylie Cosmetics, KKW, Tati Westbrook.
That's right.
And so we were very honored to be able to go on site to Oxnard, California, to the ColourPop headquarters. And we spoke to John and Laura in their first podcast ever.
That's right. So the parent company is called Seed Beauty, and that's a company that you hear about a little bit less. It's not, it's not the viral sensation like these other ones. And that's because it is a beauty incubator. So all under one roof, Seed Beauty conceives of a product or a brand. They manufacture the products, they ship the products, all the R&D happens there, all the safety testing. Originally, there were no retailers at all. So even the customer service was almost like an in-house retail. Everything happens under one roof. And that way products get to you faster. It's more responsive. And that's why this whole model is like the future of beauty. It's hard to believe that Seed Beauty only really launched in 2014. That's like yesterday to have all of these viral success stories. I mean, you look at Kylie, so 51% of the company was sold to Coty for $600 million. That's pretty groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they were the launch pad for that is incredible. The fact that, Tati Westbrook's line, highly anticipated that she chose Seed Beauty to launch with, I think just says so much for their credibility. Again, going back to that quality and just the eye for what's next and what the trends are and being able to deliver so fast is just everybody is watching them right now. So if you think about like speed, quality, and price, like that triangle that we've all seen before, they always say pick two. You can never have all three. Well, Seed Beauty finds a way to tick off all three. You're getting that amazing quality. Like with these eyeshadows, you're getting the color payoff. You're getting like these amazing on-trend shades and you get it really fast. So let's talk about the bestseller. I mean, we'll talk about ColourPop first because it would be impossible for us to deep dive into all of these brands. And I think, the influencer brands are obviously the conceptualizing, they're the brainchild of those influencers. But ColourPop is really the in-house line that they started with.
Yes.
That was their own, like Laura's going to talk about the concept for that and how it's really different. But I think ColourPop is really well known for the eyeshadows, right? Super Shock.
Yeah, the Super Shock shadows. When it first started in 2014, they were $4 each. And now they're $6 each. But they are incredibly bouncy. The texture, they're creamy. They blend super well. The pigment payoff is amazing. And the fact that it's $6, it's absolutely insane. And it's just a no-brainer. Of course, you're going to buy this.
Yeah.
And we actually got to make our own when we were there.
I know, that was my favorite part.
We didn't get to video any of that, you guys, because it was top secret.
Yeah, but it was like being in Willy Wonka's factory. We were just like, oh my God, like picking this pigment, picking that. We'll show you on Instagram the final result.
Yeah.
It was so fun. And I'll never forget standing in that laneway in the back with all the warehouses side by side. And it's like, that's KKW, that's Kylie, that's ColourPop. And we got to go inside and like see everything at work. Everything was bright and so clean. And like, it's just a well-oiled machine. We felt privileged to be there as well because this is a company that's been almost shrouded in secrecy.
Totally.
Like John and Laura don't really give a lot of interviews, as we said.
Yeah. The only time I've ever seen them was they were on that Broken documentary on Netflix that I was talking about at the end of last year.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Yeah. So they only had like a really small portion. They were talking about knockoffs and stuff like that and how they're affected by that.
Right. And I think that's really unique as well. These days when you're a founder of a brand, it's the expectation is you're the spokesperson, you're out there, you're sitting on panels, you're talking about entrepreneurship, kind of porn, if you will.
Yeah.
And they really are the type of people who's just head down, get to work. They're really focused and they're not interested in all that glory. So the fact that they kind of let us in, I think was just unprecedented. And we felt so privileged to be there.
Yeah. So let's tell everybody a bit about what they're going to hear today.
So in today's episode, John and Laura will retrace the creation of Seed Beauty and how they came to launch ColourPop and how Kylie came to be.
Yes. And we even asked them about some missteps and maybe some things when you're going so fast and furious that didn't pop off right away, which I found to be really interesting.
And stay tuned till the end and find out some hints as to what's launching around the corner next. Let's talk about before Seed Beauty, your brother and sister. So tell us a bit about just like your past and the business before and leading up to before you got into Seed.
Absolutely. You want to go, John?
The origins of being brother and sister.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
We're going way back.
Really far back. Yeah, I think that if we kind of rewind, there was the original business, Spatz Laboratories, founded in 1955 by a gentleman named Walter Spatz. Mm-hmm. Our father purchased that business in 1989, came in as CEO, and then eventually purchased that business over a period of time. Right around that time, I was going off to college. So it was really not so much of a family business, so to speak. And then Laura, being a few years behind me, ultimately was kind of working in the business and had a little bit more of a connection to the business. And then I came in to Spatz Laboratories in 1999 after working in management consulting for a few years. And then right when I was going off to business school is when Laura came in.
I did. I grew up around the business much more so than John, since he was at college at that point. So that's where I would do, my summer jobs. That's where, I would come home from college and earn some extra money. So I really felt like I grew up around the business a lot more than John did. So for me, I had much more of an emotional connection to the business.
Yeah.
Spending that time with my dad and kind of knowing the people and the culture a lot. And so when John was getting ready to go to business school in 2001, he called me and we talked about it for, many, 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 many nights, as John is very persistent. And I made the decision at that point to leave what was my dream job of all dream jobs, which was doing special events at Nordstrom, and decided to come to Spatz Laboratories and join the family business. And it was really through that year when John was at school and I was at Spatz Laboratories with Joel, that was the foundations of really building a family business and what that would mean to us and what that would kind of mean for our family and things like that. So
what kind of things were being made at Spatz Laboratory, for instance, or just generally speaking, like all cosmetics or
like people who don't understand
Yes,
what white label is about?
we're big into eyeliners. We were very big liner people. All different color products, eyeliners, lip liners, eyeshadows,
Yeah.
blushes, like,
So your family business would manufacture it for other companies.
Yeah. So we would, once I joined at that point in time, what really made Spatz Laboratories unique was that we were designing and making the primary packages here in the United States. And at that point in time, a lot of that business had started to be shifted offshore. And so that combined with the capabilities on the formulation side and the product development and the innovation is really, I think, what made Spatz Laboratories different and allowed us to create a space for ourselves within the market of coming up with new innovations and new ideas, and then working with the global brands to, customize that for their brand and their market and their consumer, and be able to produce all of that here domestically.
And so what made us unique to, I think, kind of further elaborate on that is all this vertical integration that Spatz Laboratories had, meaning we would come up with the new product concept, and then we had the formulators coming up with the formula R&D, but then we had all the package design as well. And then we would do all the production of the packaging in-house as well. And so where Spatz Laboratories was really able to carve out a niche within the industry is the rate at which we were able to bring those new products to market.
Right.
Through the global brands at the time. And so we were able to develop this system of launching new products much faster than what they were often being able to do even in-house. And so they really relied on us to do that. And we had an amazing run, really, going back to this 2002 timeframe that Laura was talking about, all the way through 2014, 2016, where we were kind of one of the preferred outside partners for that innovation.
Yeah. Because typically product development is like 2 or 3 years in the making. Is that right?
Yes.
Pausing to let you know what's good from one of our show partners, Nutrafol. Hey friends, so now I've officially reached the 1-year mark since I have had a haircut. And one thing that I've been doing to try to keep the hair that I have as healthy as possible is that I've been taking Nutrafol. So Nutrafol is a 100% drug-free oral supplement that's clinically proven to show improved hair growth and thickness with less shedding through all stages of life. It supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting the 5 root causes of thinning, like stress, hormones, environment, nutrition, and metabolism. So healthier hair growth, it takes time. So you'll begin to experience thicker, stronger, faster growing hair in about 3 to 6 months. And in a clinical study, 86% of women reported that they had improved hair growth after 6 months. And you know what? A lot of people talked about how the supplement not only transformed their hair, but it restored their confidence too. Because when you're having a good hair day, you really do feel so much better. I know that's true for myself. So you can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and entering the promo code BREAKING to save $15 off your first month's subscription. This is their best offer anywhere, and it's only available to U.S. customers for a limited time. Plus, you'll get free shipping on every order. So get $15 off at Nutrafol.com, and that's spelled NUTRAFOL.com, and use our promo code BREAKING. We'll link to that offer in our show notes and on our blog. Now back to the show.
As a parent, do you ever wish someone could just whisper some realistic and trustworthy support in your ear and not make you feel awful for not having all the answers? Well, that's what I'm here for. I'm Dr. Eliza Pressman, developmental psychologist, parent educator, clinical professor, and I'm a mom. My goal is to make your parenting journey less overwhelming and a lot more joyful. Please join me every Friday for new episodes of Raising Good Humans.
And so this is a family business, and we saw a really adorable video on ColourPop's YouTube page of is it your dad?
That's Joel.
Yes.
Meet Joel.
You just call him Joel?
I call him Joel because I'm so formal.
He is formal. I call him Pop.
It's Joel's birthday today.
It is?
Yes.
Happy birthday, Joel.
How old is he?
Joel turned 73 today.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So
So-
he's still a spring chicken.
Yeah,
he
Is
is.
he still working in this business?
He's outside. He's still involved
The
in
production meeting right now. Yes, absolutely.
Wow. So how have you guys worked together to sort of differentiate where Spats starts and Seed Beauty sort of ends, or vice versa?
You know, it was early in 2014. We just saw the rate of consumption of the consumer was going up so fast, and you could feel it on social media.
Mhm.
Right? Because all the influencers were starting and Instagram was really, becoming so huge. And so you could really see that. And meanwhile, this frustration of our products that I felt, the products are my babies. And so I'm like, my product's dying on the vine here. This product is so great today. It's not going to be as great in 2 years.
Yeah. Great
'Cause-
point.
Yeah, this is Carlene's mindset, right?
Yeah, I'm like, I get you.
Right? And
Yeah.
I really couldn't have another meeting. What's trending in 3 years? I'm
Yeah.
literally nobody knows.
It's so true.
So let's focus on how can we maximize business today? I'm
Yeah.
so inspired by the consumer and what they're all about and what they're thirsty for and what they are loving. And
Mhm.
so that's really kind of what feeds me and kind of gets me going. And so, that frustration with not being able to just let all of those ideas fly
Yeah.
free and into the world where I felt like they could have a home and people would really like them.
I think
So-
that's where Laura and I work best, right? Because she's coming at it from her perspective. And if we rewind to 2014, there was frustration for these reasons, right? Not being able to get the new products, these great ideas that were dying on the vine.
yeah.
And at the same time, I'm looking at it from the overall business and saying, you know what? I don't think we're getting the best return on our resources. I think that there may be another opportunity. So Laura is what makes her great is so customer and product focused. And I'm looking at the overall resources, the overall business, the platform. And so there was a lot of conversation, myself from my perspective, Laura from her perspective. And so there was a lot of this dialogue to the point where we finally said, enough talking.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take action. And an idea without a date is just simply going to be an idea. So let's commit and give ourselves X period of time to be able to launch this brand. And essentially that's what we did.
And so I remember so that was basically the origins of ColourPop, because at that point, and again, John's enough talking. We talked 6 weeks. He acts like we'd been talking about
He
this
sends
for-
you another spreadsheet.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. So at that point, he said 12 weeks. We have 12 weeks where I'm done talking about this. We have 12 weeks to launch a brand. I'm like, okay. Well, so at that point, I knew what the product was. I knew it was Super Shock Shadow. Like that was the product. That was the product I had like so much belief in that could not reach the light of day in the way that it needed to through the Spatz model. It just couldn't for 8 million different reasons. But I was like, you know what? So I told my product development team, you go up, you find those expensive pearls on shelf 4, the ones they don't let us use because they're too expensive in the Spatz, financial model. You go find the most expensive, most gorgeous pearls and let's just make the best shades that we can possibly make. It isn't about shelf space. It isn't about, a range in the traditional sense. Just go create the best. At that point, I think I said, go create like the best 15 shades that you can go create. And she came back with 150. And we boiled that down to 31. And then we needed a name. And so we just went into a conference room with a couple interns and a couple of team members and bought lunch and came up with the name ColourPop.
There was a Brit or a Canadian in there because you've got the U in the color.
We did the U. You know what? It's a little corny. I liked the U because we put the U in color. And that just for me meant the representation of the consumer always being in ColourPop and of the U in ColourPop.
And you could probably get the URL as well.
Yes, exactly. That helps as well. Exactly.
But so we're talking about 12 weeks. We committed to it. We had no idea about marketing. We had no idea about e-commerce. I mean, we were literally, everything was B2B for, at that point, 60 years. So we started with just a really small team within the Spatz resource base and started to just figure things out. And I think that's kind of the spirit that we still have today, which is we have to be constantly evolving. We have to constantly be running these experiments because we just have this fear of the status quo. And the business has to keep evolving. And so, during that 12 weeks, we figured out a ton. And we said, look, if it doesn't work out, we'll just consider it a sacrificial brand. We will have learned a lot in the process, but fortunately, it ended up taking off.
Yeah. Laura, I know you said there's 8 million reasons why that eyeshadow couldn't exist before, but can you elaborate just a little bit? Because to an outsider, it could be like, there are so many eyeshadows in the world. Why did this one need to exist? And how did you get it down to $6?
Oh my gosh. It needed to exist. Well, why it needed to exist was the amazing color payoff and long wear of it. I mean, there was nothing else in the marketplace that had that type of payout with that type of adhesion on the eye to really give a different look. And we knew that. But even at that point, I didn't come close to understanding the power of Instagram and swatching and all of those things. But the minute you would get this product into somebody's hands that loved makeup, one swatch, it's all it took. And then all of a sudden they're posting pictures of their swatch. And really it spread so organically in such an authentic love of you're not going to believe how this swatch is. Check it out. That's what I loved about it was the uniqueness. It really just was a fit for that time. I mean, that was really, being able to show how great it was in a photograph that can go onto social media. That was the whole thing.
Do you remember one moment where it went out into the world? Was there one Instagrammer who just put it on the map? Or back in the day, it used to be a magazine print hit that would put something on the map. What was it? Where you were just this is taking off?
Yeah. I mean, there was Thanksgiving. I think that was that. I mean,
that first Thanksgiving.
That first Thanksgiving. I mean, I think, there were definitely, and again, I'm not going to take credit for things I do not deserve to have credit for. The early days of social media and the influencers and this, that, I loved that people were posting and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And I mean, my phone is full of screenshots of the early days of people posting it. I don't think I had enough understanding and total appreciation for the power of influencers to understand this means that. I was just so flattered and appreciative that anyone of any size would love it enough to actually post a picture of it. The fact that then that meant that there was this amount of earned media value or there was this amount. I didn't know any of that. I mean, I was just like, oh my gosh, so cute. She has 3 followers and she posted it, or this one has 20,000 and she posted it. Really kind of meant the same things to me at that point in time. And that's part of what I always love about ColourPop is there's such a pure appreciation for the experience of the products for me. None of it was commercial in the beginning. It was really just freedom for me. It was hey, fine, you can go over here and you can go create and you can launch all the products you want and you can create all the shades you want and just go. And so I was like, every day was a win. Every day was great because I got to go create whatever I wanted to go create. And so, but one moment was on Thanksgiving. Meghan Trainor wore it at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah,
parade.
I think everything was so early stage at that point. Like we'd never been through a holiday. We had no idea. So ColourPop launches May 1 of 2014. Completely organic, as Laura's talking about, and just
like no marketing spend.
No, zero.
Like
just,
nothing.
It was right brand, right product, right time.
Yeah.
And everything just took on a life of its own. And so literally at that stage, we had never been through a holiday and Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all that type of stuff. And so I went with my wife's family, as I always do, back to the Midwest. And, there was all this lead up to that, but had no idea. And then I woke up on Thanksgiving Day and all of a sudden sales were through the roof and everything. And it was, I couldn't get on a flight fast enough to get back to try to figure out how to get orders out, and all hands on deck and everybody doing everything that they can to make sure that we're getting products to the customer. And as Laura said, just developing great products at really affordable pricing. And that was part of the positioning from day one.
Yeah. And that's tough, right? To do the fast and quality and price, because usually those three aren't supposed to exist at once. And Deciem kind of reminds me of the Deciem story, because with The Ordinary, that was it. That was part of it, right? So how did you manage to get it out for $6 and have those other things come into place too?
Well, it comes from the fact that, we grew up in contract manufacturing for, 60 years. So the disciplines on that side of the business, that came naturally to us. Like that we actually know how to do. Running social media accounts, like that was hard. That took some figuring out. And so part of it is just how we grew up in the disciplines around, cost structures. And again, all of this is built on a 55-year-old family business. Like we have a tool room that actually makes the tools to make the plastic parts that run in molding machines across the street. Yeah. Like it's like a 1950s tool room. Like nobody would have that today. You couldn't even go and build that if you wanted to. And so part of it is just those resources and in that vertical integration that John talked about.
Yeah. What allows us to deliver on all three of those is the vertical integration. And that is very difficult to replicate, right? You can have a brand that wants to go buy a factory, right? But it's really, having all this know-how over the last 60 plus years that you have then built these brands that can have the direct conversation with the customer on top of that. And then how you can run that system, the type of culture you need to have within the business. Because it's one thing to have all this vertical integration. It's another thing is how do Laura and I create this environment where people have the teamwork to work cross-functionally in order to be able to come up with great products and then be able to launch and produce them successfully.
Yeah. All the infrastructure was there. It was the adapting that turned the key, right?
Exactly.
And now a break from one of today's show partners, Barefoot Scientists. So, guys, the mani-pedi shops are still closed where we are. Super sad face. Thank goddess I discovered Barefoot Scientist. Every single product is specifically formulated for the unique needs of your feet using the very best ingredients from science and nature. Last time I talked to you about them, I was just trying the Reboot exfoliating foot peel. That's like the little booty. You wear it for 90 minutes, 7 to 10 days later, all your skin peels off. I am telling you, the transformation, my jaw was on the floor. And if like me, you're doing your own pedicure at home, I gotta tell you about their ultimate all-in-one at-home pedicure set. It's called Walk-Ins Welcome. It's got everything you need. Exfoliating scrub, pumice stone to like slough it all off, clippers, nail file buffer, foot cream, cuticle oil, the works. And let me tell you, the foot cream, it's called High Dive. That's Barefoot Scientists' Intense Hydration Cream. It's got 15 of the world's most effective moisturizers, ingredients that really work, 4 types of hyaluronic acid, shea butter, glycerin, ceramide NG, podiatrist recommended urea, and other healing botanicals. It's so good. And cuticle oil is major key. Inner strength renewal drops. That's going to help with broken, splitting, peeling nails. So this is an award-winning nail and cuticle oil. It's clinically proven to help strengthen the nail structure, maintain more moisture, and smooth overall texture. And all Barefoot Scientist products, they're hypoallergenic, dermatologist tested, cruelty-free, and free of phthalates and parabens as well. Right now, our listeners can get an exclusive 20% off their first order at barefootscientist.com using code BEAUTY. That's barefootscientist.com and code BEAUTY. Get all of your foot care essentials right now at barefootscientist.com and enter code BEAUTY at checkout for 20% off your first order.
And then the scaling, that's the other piece of it, right? When we were a contract manufacturer, we were operating within a relative range when it came to sales, right? But really in 2014, when we launched ColourPop and the rate of growth with that, and then the subsequent brands that we brought on, it's really, how do you scale a business from the marketing all the way through the manufacturing to be able to support that demand?
Yeah. Now, I know part of the model for ColourPop has been also being sort of reactive. So you can get it produced quickly I read even in 5 days.
Yep.
So walk us through, like, is there somebody just reading the Reddit boards and what did they do? Do they just turn their head and say, Laura, and then you just take 3 steps? Like, how does this work?
Pretty much. I mean, it is social listening that we've just had to develop that core capability from day one, because getting that feedback and getting those ideas and being able to actually do something with it is crazy fun.
Yeah.
And so part of it is just like, again, for me, it goes back to the freedom of being able to do it just because you can.
Yeah.
And some of that early stuff where we're like, hey, let's ask people what they want. Let's see if we can do it in 4 days.
Yeah.
I mean, some of that just came, that was like the first one we did of that was churro. And I mean, literally it was on a Tuesday and we were bored. We're like, I don't know, ask people what they want. And we did it. And then, we had some voting, and then but we're like there reading the comments in the lab, making it, taking a picture, posting it, getting feedback, telling them, no, do this one instead, do this, take a picture. You guys want that one? Yeah, you want that one? Okay, great. Then, okay, that's the master. That's what we're going to do. Like, walk it over to production, make it, and that's
just
ready.
Real time.
That's it. Yeah.
Any new pillars in the incubator that you can talk about, like nails or hair? Or
Yeah, we definitely have other categories that we're always working on.
Yeah.
And it's nice to always have, 3 or 4 going at any one time, because it's hard to know exactly like when you're going to feel one. Like Soul, for example, was something that we were kind of kicking around a little bit within ColourPop. And I don't know, I was kind of doing it as like a side project, just doing some products that I wanted. I mean, I wanted to go glow. I like glowing body stuff. And, it, like all of a sudden it hit, and it was like, no, we actually have something here, and I love this, and I'm all about this, and we're going to launch this brand. And really, I mean, I think that from the time we said like, no, we're actually launching this brand, it going to market was like 4 weeks.
yeah.
And it was like, everyone go get an iPhone. I do not want a bunch of edited studio photos. I don't want any of that. Like, it is like all iPhone. I want it real. I want real people. Like, that's like, you get a feeling, and you're all about that. And it comes together in such a powerful, amazing way.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point, and we continue to learn about the incubation process itself. Like the way that we incubated and launched ColourPop, we applied a lot of those lessons to 4th-Ray, and then from 4th-Ray on to Soul. And so the process itself continues to evolve as we continue to learn. And I think, to Laura's point, that's why we have to always be running some experiments on the platform. And then based on that, okay, this one's coming together. Let's go. Let's fully resource and get behind it.
Yeah.
I think with like a lot of people that we talk about a lot of successes, but obviously when you're trying a lot of different stuff, there's going to be some stuff that doesn't pan out. So can you give an example of maybe something that you were like, this is going to be amazing, and maybe it didn't like hit the mark fully?
Totally hit the mark. Yeah. I think that there's challenges in any launch. Foundation, for example. Foundation's hard online. Like that's one
we're
that
gonna ask you about that actually. Yeah.
That's one that we, and so it's just a matter of saying, okay, how else can we try to do this? Where else does this work? So that was a big lesson learned of like, oh, wow, foundation and selling complexion online is tough.
So is it that people are returning, or they're buying a bunch and trying them, or what was the biggest feedback you got?
It's hard to pick your shade online.
Yeah.
And I mean, all the tools in the world and all the matches and we have spent countless hours trying to come up with ways and tools. And, there's 1,000 different things online that you can try. But at the end of the day, I mean, I can't pick my foundation shade online.
Yeah. No, it's super tough.
It's tough. And so it's mostly just finding their shade. I mean, at the end of the day, it's It's finding
Yeah.
your shade. And
Yep.
there's nothing that it's hard to create a tool online to replicate what you see in person. Because what you see in person is different from what you see in person.
It's hard enough to even swatch it on your arm and know if it's going to work on your face.
Are you inside or outside?
Yeah.
Are you this? Like the lighting that, I mean, it's like, it's just, that's one that was
a
like,
challenge.
I wanted to ask you guys just something about, we touched on Reddit before. Like, I think what's so unique and interesting about your brand is like anybody that we interview for the podcast, they've been on YouTube, they've been on podcasts, but you guys are more like behind the scenes. And I think that has like created almost like this
Theories?
like conspiracy
Conspiracy
theories like on Reddit and stuff. And people are like, is this true? Is this
Are they two
happened?
teenagers
Yeah.
or are they brother and sisters? What's the real story?
Have you read anything on those conspiracy boards that kind of made you laugh or?
yeah, I mean, definitely in the early days that of just like people like not knowing who we are. And, you know, I remember there was like one thread of like, oh, is it the Illuminati or something like that? And it's like, it just never occurred to us that anybody would really care who we are because like we really love what we do and we're all about the brands and all about Seed Beauty. And that's kind of as interesting as we are, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's, you know, for us, I think we just prefer to be behind the scenes and we love to build and we love to create and the freedom that comes with that. I think Laura and I feel blessed every day that we have this opportunity. And so, you know, we're very lucky to have the work ethic that we got from our parents. And so this is a 24/7 type of business. And we love to roll up our sleeves and just continue to build. And like I said, not be accepting the status quo. And how do we keep pushing ourselves and the rest of the organization to continue to evolve?
Yeah. Well, it's also, I think, as being behind the scenes all with Spats like the whole time. And like you said, with these shorter production times and everything, I think there's just so much time spent. But even, you know, talking about being the face of a brand is like a job in itself.
Oh, for sure.
So it's just like a choice kind of.
Jumping in to tell you about one of our show partners, Skillshare. So as a freelance creative for the better part of a decade now, one of the only things I miss about office life is a big old-fashioned brainstorm session where you get to bounce ideas off of other creative people. I mean, brainstorming by myself, it's just not quite the same. And that's why I'm honestly so excited to partner with Skillshare. They're an online learning community and they offer membership with meaning. So there's tons to explore on their website. There's real projects to create, and you have the support of fellow creatives. Skillshare really empowers you to accomplish real growth. One of the classes I took recently, it was only 28 minutes long, and it was divided into bite-sized chapters. It was all about video for Instagram and telling an engaging story in less than a minute. And the instructor was Halise Navarez, and she was amazing. Everything was concise and really easy to understand. So I think it was good for beginners, but also I felt like it was just really good for me to brush up on creating that engaging content. And there's just so many lessons and classes you can take on Skillshare, everything from learning how to play an instrument to photography classes, web development, and even ones about self-care. That's right. Just this week, a former guest of ours, Jonathan Van Ness, has joined the ranks as an instructor at Skillshare. So I'm going to take his class, and you know, the more JVN in my life, the better. I love learning new stuff, and it's frankly just really gratifying to accomplish a new skill. Plus, Skillshare is also really affordable. The annual subscription is less than $10 a month. So explore your creativity at Skillshare.com/beauty, and you'll get a free trial of the premium membership. That's Skillshare.com/beauty. We'll link to that offer in our show notes and on our blog. Now, back to the show.
I'm worried we're going to run out of time before we get the story on how Kylie Cosmetics came to be.
Yes. Kylie came to be through our networks and people that we kind of known within the industry. We kind of had, you know, similar connections between, you know, us and to Chris and such. And Kylie decided she wanted to launch a lip kit one day. And so Chris just kind of called up. I remember I was driving into work and the receptionist called and said, Laura, Kris Jenner just called for you and would like you to call her back. I was like, okay. So that's a call you return fairly quickly. And she's like, hey, doll. I'm like, hi. And she's like, I want to come up tomorrow. And, you know, let's chat. Kylie wants a lip kit. And Kylie and Chris were up the very next day. And it's just been an amazing partnership. It was just from day one, just so aligned in, what we wanted to do and what we wanted to kind of build and create together. And again, it was more freedom to go try new things and create new products and with somebody who's an amazing creative partner with Kylie. So it just, the whole story of it is fairly anticlimactic of, knowing mutual people and getting a phone call. Next thing you know, you are literally holding on for dear life as you are selling out of product in minutes every, 5 to 7 days.
Did you think it was going to blow up like that?
No, are you kidding? I wouldn't have signed up for that. But guess what? Once the rocket ship has actually left the ground, you just need to hold on to the controls.
Yeah.
No, so 2016 is a total blur. That was just unprecedented in terms of, capturing this, insatiable demand for Kylie and these products. And
yeah. Do you have any idea of how many sell a second or a minute or anything like that?
Gosh, I did back in 2016, back in those days. I can't recall off the top of my head, but it was so fast that you actually couldn't measure it because all the systems couldn't keep up with even the counting over
Unbelievable.
that time.
I remember watching that episode and it went live, her website.
Yeah.
And then it was just sold out. Everything was gone.
And you're just
and they were watching it.
Well, yeah, but you're that was 5 weeks of production. It just went out in 3 minutes. It was just, so you kind of have this moment of excitement and then the total, face kind of drops. You're that went 5 weeks of full blown production. Okay, let's start again.
I remember working at a magazine at the time and it was could I get a sample? Hello?
Literally. No.
Don't need you anymore. Bye.
It's crazy. It was paradigm shifting. No doubt about it. And to be able to be a part of that and just learn so much during that time was really something I will always, cherish and feel so